Did you know that Steven Spielberg once invited the entire film crew to an alien watch party one night, fully expecting to see UFOs because he'd grown convinced something out there might be watching them as they shot Close Encounters of the Third Kind? While no flying saucers arrived that evening, the passion and belief Spielberg poured into this 1977 classic left an imprint on everyone involved, and on science fiction as a whole. So many elements of this movie were uncharted territory, from the special effects to the deeply human search for cosmic connection. Even decades later, it continues to capture the imagination of anyone who looks up at the stars and wonders if we're truly alone. Let's journey through the extraordinary behind-the-scenes stories that made Close Encounters an out-of-this-world milestone in cinema. Hynek's UFO classification inspired the film's title. It all began with an obscure classification system by UFO researcher J. Allen Hynek. He'd categorized encounters into three kinds. The first kind is a simple sighting. Maybe you see lights dancing over the horizon. The second kind involves physical evidence, crop circles, scorched earth, or bizarre radiation spikes. The third kind is direct contact with extraterrestrials themselves. Spielberg found the notion so enthralling that he borrowed Hynek's terminology for his movie's title, a quiet nod to real-life UFO research. Hynek himself even makes a cameo in the film, tipping his hat to the camera, a hidden gift for die-hard UFO buffs. 2. Richard Dreyfuss campaigned hard to get the lead role. Casting the lead role of Roy Neary proved tricky. Spielberg had big names in mind: Steve McQueen, Dustin Hoffman, maybe even Gene Hackman. But Richard Dreyfuss came knocking. He loved the concept of an ordinary man thrust into cosmic wonder. Dreyfuss campaigned so hard, begging Spielberg to let him try out, that he began to overshadow other contenders. Spielberg had noticed Dreyfuss's comedic timing and raw intensity in American Graffiti and Jaws, so he began picturing Dreyfuss as Roy. The more they talked, the more Spielberg realized that Dreyfuss's boyish energy and occasional bursts of frustration were spot on for a man consumed by visions he can't explain. 3. Melinda Dillon brought real emotion to the role of Jillian. Meanwhile, the role of Jillian Guyler, the mother whose son is abducted by the aliens, went to Melinda Dillon. Spielberg discovered her from her performance in Bound for Glory, where she played a kind-hearted, vulnerable character. He sensed that same softness in Dillon that Jillian needed. She brought a maternal warmth that anchored the film's emotional core. The audience had to believe she'd do anything: chase unearthly lights, scramble up a mountain, face government roadblocks, just to find her missing child. Dillon's portrayal was so earnest that some viewers confided to her later they were moved to tears by her unwavering hope. 4. The alien landing site was built in a massive airship hangar. The production needed a place large enough to house epic sets depicting alien landings and massive overshadowing UFOs, so they turned to an abandoned airship hangar in Mobile, Alabama. Production designer Joe Alves recalled the cavernous space being almost otherworldly itself, filled with echoes and dust. Converting it into a fully functional soundstage required a small army of carpenters and electricians. They built an exterior facade for the final alien contact scene, complete with towers of scaffolding and hidden lighting rigs to replicate cosmic glows. Ironically, one reason for choosing Mobile was to avoid weather hiccups, but the local storms and humidity constantly forced them to shuffle their schedules. 5. Stormy weather added real atmosphere to outdoor scenes. Speaking of storms, Spielberg shot many scenes guerrilla-style in the desert or on rural roads, hoping for dramatic cloud formations or natural lighting. But the unpredictable weather often left them scurrying to protect gear. In an era without advanced digital compositing, capturing moody skies on real film was worth the hassle. Spielberg believed that if the elements looked too perfect, the film would lose authenticity. The crew might have cursed the thunderstorms, but ironically, those swirling clouds contributed to the movie's sense of an impending cosmic event. 6. The iconic five-tone music came from John Williams's experiments. As for the iconic five-tone musical phrase used to communicate with the aliens, that sprang from John Williams's fertile imagination. Williams and Spielberg tested dozens of possible sequences, searching for something simultaneously simple and memorable. They toyed with longer melodies, but everything felt too ornate. Then, in an almost accidental eureka moment, Williams tapped out 5 ascending notes that sparkled with an alien-like quality. Spielberg lit up, exclaiming that these notes conveyed friendliness without complexity. That 5-tone riff soon joined the pantheon of unforgettable cinematic motifs, alongside the shark theme from Jaws and the opening fanfare of Star Wars. 7. Mission control scenes were inspired by real NASA operations. Those flight controller scenes, where officials decode alien signals and scramble to interpret them, drew inspiration from NASA mission control. Spielberg consulted with aerospace experts, ensuring the procedures looked plausible. He wanted the audience to feel the scientific excitement of deciphering a cosmic message. Some NASA folks quietly admired the film's spirit, though the U.S. government never officially endorsed the project. The cameras captured real tension, with actors portraying officials who sense they're on the brink of a discovery that dwarfs any typical science mission. 8. Douglas Trumbull used in-camera effects for the UFOs. Perhaps the film's biggest challenge was the special effects. Douglas Trumbull, already famous for 2001: A Space Odyssey, led the team. They had to create luminous, dancing UFOs without the help of modern CGI. Trumbull devised a method combining multiple exposures of film to layer glowing lights and swirling colors. They used rotating filters, prism setups, and carefully choreographed light moves. Each second of UFO footage might require days or weeks in post-production. The scale of that labor was immense. But when audiences saw the swirling rainbow craft gracefully descend, they witnessed a magic trick that was groundbreaking for its time. 9. The mothership's lights were all practical, not digital. The swirling lights you see on the alien mothership were mostly done in camera, no digital shortcuts. Trumbull's team experimented with all sorts of contraptions, tiny bulbs behind tinted glass, or spinning motors that rotated gels in front of strong lights. Achieving a sense of motion was crucial. One slip in timing, and the lights might flicker weirdly or seem artificial. The labor paid off, giving us the majestic final reveal that dazzles even decades later. 10. Spielberg kollidierte mit dem Studio über den Budget, aber stand fest. Spielberg insisted on grandeur for the film's climactic scenes, even when budgets threatened to spiral. Columbia Pictures, struggling financially, kept urging Spielberg to scale down. He refused, convinced that audiences needed a sense of epic wonder when humanity finally meets these peaceful extraterrestrials. He overran the original cost estimates, but producers eventually compromised, trusting his track record post-Jaws. In a high-stakes gamble, they bankrolled his vision of a towering mothership set and orchestrated a cast of hundreds of extras. That faith in Spielberg's dream undeniably paid off. 11. Real UFO witness interviews shaped plot details. For added authenticity, Spielberg interviewed real-life UFO witnesses. Their stories influenced plot details, like sudden road blackouts, radio interference, or the unstoppable urge to travel to a random location. Some told him they felt telepathic summons from the skies, which informed Roy Neary's mind-bending drive to sculpt Devil's Tower out of mashed potatoes. The sense that alien communication might be both physical and psychic gave the screenplay a deeper dimension beyond typical laser beams and little green men. 12. Roy's silhouette under the UFO spotlight became iconic. One of the film's iconic images is Roy's silhouette, dwarfed by a glaring UFO spotlight. Filming it required an insanely bright lamp aimed at Dreyfuss, who stood near a huge billboard. The intensity threatened to damage his eyes if he looked straight at it. Dreyfuss clenched his lids, half in genuine discomfort, half in character's awe. That final silhouette shot ended up on posters and VHS covers, encapsulating the essence of a normal guy facing cosmic revelation. 13. The mashed potato mountain scene was intense and chaotic. Roy's obsession scene, where he sculpts a model of Devil's Tower in his living room, was pure creative chaos. Stallone might talk about method acting, but Dreyfuss did something similar, physically hurling plants, dirt, and household items to shape this bizarre mountain. Spielberg let Dreyfuss go wild, so the mania you see is partly real frustration. He had to do multiple takes, each time reassembling the set, ensuring continuity. By the end of filming that sequence, the smell of damp soil and rancid food was overwhelming, adding to Roy's mania for Dreyfuss. 14. Melinda Dillon's performance connected viewers emotionally. Melinda Dillon's portrayal of Jillian's unwavering maternal drive stands out. She invests every tear, every shout into the search for her missing child. Audiences found themselves empathizing deeply with her terror. Off-screen, Dillon said she carried the emotional weight heavily, sometimes needing quiet breaks to distance herself from the storyline's tension. Her fatherly rapport with Dreyfuss on screen wasn't romantic. Spielberg intentionally kept their relationship more sisterly, forging a bond of shared wonder and loss, rather than a predictable love subplot. 15. The reappearance of Flight 19 nodded to real UFO lore. Watch for references to real-life UFO lore. A cameo involves the sudden reappearance of Flight 19's torpedo bombers from World War II, an allusion to the real Lost Squadron in the Bermuda Triangle. Spielberg adored such mysteries, believing they fed into the film's sense that these aliens had been quietly collecting Earth artifacts and missing vessels, returning them decades later unscathed. The moment those battered planes reappear in a desert is one of the film's earliest signals that we're venturing into genuine unknowns, not mild sci-fi camp. 16. Little Barry's abduction scene used hidden puppets for reactions. The abduction of Barry, Jillian's young son, still ranks among the creepiest sequences. Actor Cary Guffey was so young that Spielberg guided him on set with hidden cues, like telling him to watch a specific puppet or follow a toy to capture wide-eyed wonder. The final shot of him toddling toward the bright doorway, giggling in innocence while the rest of us sense the cosmic dread, is shiver-inducing. Guffey's innocence anchors the notion that these visitors might not be evil, though their methods are terrifying to adult eyes. 17. Intense halogen lighting created the film's signature glow. To create the intense orange glow used in UFO approach scenes, the crew used monstrous halogen lights. It was so bright that extras wore tinted goggles between takes. Some days, cast members left with mild sunburn from the harsh lights. The set often reached scorching temperatures, compounding the sense of sweaty anxiety. The visual payoff was undeniable, though, those deep oranges and yellows swirling around, enveloping the characters in a near-apocalyptic haze of brightness. 18. François Truffaut brought gravitas as the French scientist. French auteur François Truffaut's cameo as Lacombe was a coup for Spielberg, who admired Truffaut's The 400 Blows. Truffaut had never done a major acting role in Hollywood. He arrived with a sense of wonder, immersing himself in the script's scientific curiosity. Spielberg, in turn, gave him gentle direction, wanting him to convey an explorer's awe rather than a bureaucrat's rigidity. That performance adds an intellectual layer to the final contact scene, bridging language barriers with music and sign language. 19. Extras saw the mothership set for the first time on camera. For the final scene at the alien landing site, Spielberg cast hundreds of local Alabamians as extras. He kept them in the dark about the UFO design until the cameras rolled, capturing their first genuine reactions. Some glimpsed the giant prop or the swirling lights and gasped. That wide-eyed awe on film isn't acting, it's real shock at the scale of the set. The mix of soldiers, scientists, and random watchers amplifies the sense that the entire world has converged to witness history. 20th Spielberg considered a more ambiguous ending. Spielberg toyed with an ending that left everything ambiguous. Perhaps the aliens appear off-screen, or Roy stands in the desert, tears in his eyes, but we never see the ship. Ultimately, after test footage, he decided audiences deserved to see the visitors, to share in the wonder that's built up for 2 hours. Still, part of him wondered if mystery might have been more poetic. He compromised by keeping the aliens mostly in silhouette or behind swirling light, preserving some enigma. 21. Roy originally wasn't meant to board the spaceship. Originally, Roy didn't board the mothership. The story ended with the revelation that UFOs exist, but Roy remained behind on Earth, changed yet unfulfilled. In post-production, Spielberg reversed that, believing Roy's leap of faith was essential. This new ending gave the film an almost spiritual dimension, a man leaving everything behind to follow an inexplicable calling. Some critics found it heartbreakingly naive, others saw it as a testament to humanity's longing for transcendent experiences. 22. The production pushed Spielberg to physical and mental limits. The project ran behind schedule, putting Columbia Pictures, already in financial strain, on edge. They pressured Spielberg relentlessly, threatening budget cuts. He directed with a fierce sense of the clock ticking, occasionally rewriting scenes to fit the resources left. The stress was immense. Spielberg vowed afterward never again to produce and direct a film simultaneously, calling Close Encounters his limit for personal exhaustion. But once the film was done, his sense of relief was immense, like stepping off a roller coaster that soared higher than anyone predicted. 23rd. Audience reactions sparked a cultural UFO revival. Audiences who saw Close Encounters were profoundly affected. Letters poured into Spielberg's office from people describing their own alleged UFO encounters or how the film reaffirmed their spiritual beliefs. The idea that aliens might not be hostile enthralled a culture used to seeing monsters from outer space. This led to a cultural moment where UFO clubs gained popularity and public interest in government UFO files spiked. The film tapped into a collective yearning to believe we're not alone, and that contact might be magical, not murderous. 24. Critics praised its optimism over fear. Critics mostly praised the film's sense of wonder. Some complained it lacked the tension or villainy found in typical sci-fi. Spielberg saw that as a victory. Close Encounters was never about fear, but about curiosity, bridging gaps between humans and cosmic visitors. That sense of optimism set it apart from the bleak or militaristic alien invasion flicks of the time. 25. The U.S. Air Force refused to cooperate on the film. The U.S. Air Force refused to cooperate. They politely declined, claiming no interest in UFO fiction. Spielberg quipped that maybe they were quietly monitoring the production anyway. Without official backing, the film's portrayal of military operations remained partly speculative. That didn't deter them from making it look as official as possible. Scenes of soldiers lining up the landing zone or hauling around heavy radio gear all had to come from the production's imagination, plus a dash of reference from real NASA procedures. 26. The film grossed over $300 million worldwide. The film earned over $300 million globally, a massive figure for the late 70s. It crowned Spielberg as a blockbuster maestro following Jaws. People marveled at how he could pivot from killer sharks to transcendent aliens, each time capturing the mass imagination. This success also validated studios that big-scale sci-fi or fantasy could be lucrative. The next wave of cosmic cinema, from Star Wars to E.T., blossomed in the slipstream of Close Encounters. 27. Rumors claimed NASA warned Spielberg about public panic. There's an enduring rumor that NASA sent Spielberg a 20-page letter urging him to shelve the film, fearing it might spark mass panic or unrealistic expectations about UFOs. Spielberg has neither confirmed nor denied it wholeheartedly, but the story persists. True or not, it underscores the swirling paranoia and intrigue that UFO lore evokes. If NASA did send such a letter, it only fanned the curiosity that the film already inflamed. 28. Multiple versions of the film exist, each with different endings. In 1980, Spielberg released a special edition, adding an inside the mothership scene. He filmed a new sequence revealing the ship's interior, partly to satisfy the studio's appetite for an even bigger spectacle. But years later, Spielberg regretted that. He felt it eroded the mystery. Different versions of Close Encounters now exist: the theatrical cut, the special edition, and the collector's edition, each balancing curiosity and enigma differently. Fans debate which cut is definitive, but all share the film's luminous spirit of cosmic communication. 29th. Spielberg's peaceful alien vision influenced later science fiction. The film's DNA lives on in modern science fiction. When you see Contact, Interstellar, or Arrival, each resonates with the same vibe of wonder and respectful approach to alien contact. Spielberg's choice to depict a peaceful, advanced race shaped how future filmmakers conceptualized benevolent extraterrestrials. He'd show them as curious travelers, akin to us, only more evolved. This approach, combined with the heartfelt family arcs, became a Spielberg trademark, culminating in E.T. a few years later. Decades on, Close Encounters of the Third Kind still resonates as one of cinema's most earnest pleas for humility and openness to the unknown. In an era when UFO talk often revolved around fear or conspiracy, Spielberg's film offered a hopeful note. Maybe, just maybe, if we meet advanced life forms, the result could be uplifting, even spiritual. The iconic finale, Roy walking into the mothership's glow, captures that longing. He abandons his old life to chase the ultimate cosmic frontier. That moment, set to John Williams's mesmerizing five-note suite, lingers in cinematic memory. Even now, fans revisit it to recapture a sense of childlike awe. Indeed, the film reminds us that the universe is vast, our knowledge limited, and wonder is an essential part of being human. If a small suburban dad can break through cosmic barriers and greet aliens with a handshake of music and color, perhaps we all can. Close Encounters stands as testament that the best science fiction uplifts our spirits, challenges our assumptions, and leaves us gazing at the night sky with renewed awe, hoping one day to see those dancing lights ourselves.